hard work in the heat. Well, welcome back to the cabin. So taking down more live trees, unfortunately, but the reason for that is that this is part of the clearing right here for the workshop and the garden and the greenhouse. So I do need to take a few more of these maples down. Probably those 2, 3, 4 maybe behind you. Do hate taking them down, but it's just necessary in order to accomplish what I need to here, and that's to get sun into this property in order to grow food and to harness enough energy from the sun to run my camera and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So for that reason, I do need to take some more live trees down, and I have taken quite a few down, as you can see behind me by this destruction. It's a bit of a construction site right now. As you can see, it's a mess. And it's not attractive at all, and it's not the nicest work environment compared to what I've been working in for the last 3 years, building the cabin and the forest kitchen and the sauna right in the forest, in the shade of the forest. It's hot out in the sun here right now at this time of year, mid-August. Reason I'm using an axe today is just to make sure that I'm still making that connection with what I'm doing and with nature, and even when I'm destroying some life, by doing it by hand, at least part of the time, I make that connection, and I seem to be more aware of what I'm doing, more aware of the harm that I'm causing and the potential benefit even. Obviously, I cut most of this stuff down and into length with the chainsaw, and excavated all this pond and all the footings for the workshop with power equipment, with excavating equipment. My neighbor did the pond, and then I did, and some of this clearing, then I did a bunch of gravel and more leveling and stuff for the workshop with the machine that I ran. So I didn't like that part of it. Like I said, it's almost like when I had a big power boat and out on the water, elevated, like in a cabin cruiser, and fast and big and not directly connected to the water like I am in a canoe. So when I was in that power boat, as much as I loved spending, it was 3 summers we had that, I loved that time that we spent on the water, because we were out on the water, sleeping on it included. So that was nice, and waking up right out there around an island or something in Georgian Bay with the wildlife and waves lapping on the hull. Nice feeling, but underway I just was losing that connection. So same here with power equipment, whether I'm on an excavator and just clearing ground or knocking trees down, or using a chainsaw to cut the wood up or cut a tree down, especially, it just doesn't, I lose the connection, first of all, because I can't hear anything except the sound of that machine, which I hate. I'm not hearing nature then around me, surrounded, even the wind in the trees, the birds, the frogs croaking. Like, there's a lot of sound, natural sound out here. So I'm not hearing that. And then also, it's just a piece of steel hitting against that natural material. So there's that disconnect, but also less awareness, because I don't see that thing up close and see the destruction that I'm causing. So that's one of the main reasons I actually use power tools and go back to power tools whenever I can, even when I have been using power for certain things. So hard work, mind you, and hot work to be swinging an axe in the forest, and I'm not going to continue today. I need one more for a tripod that I need to make to put a pulley on, so I can lift the logs up into the air to make to get all the walls up on the cabin and the roof, or on the workshop. So necessary to get this tripod done today, and then I'm going out fishing in the canoe, get out on the water, get into the water too. But yeah, that's the way I'm feeling. So ironically, I was away from the cabin for almost a full week up until last night. Reason for that is that I had a bunch of work to do with and for my family, and ironically, the skills I've been learning here, I was able to apply to that. So becoming useful, learning new skills, and then gaining experience doing different types of things, and then being able to apply that to other parts of my life and to help other people. I think that's one of the things I've felt strongly about my whole life is gaining skill, gaining self-reliance, not to be independent and pull away from people and pull away from society, but to actually be more useful. To not be a burden myself, but also to be able to apply my experience and skills to help other people. And that continues on YouTube. It continues in my personal life, my family life, and life with my friends. So I'm going to continue to do that, learn as much as possible, and try to apply those skills to help other people. Just watching Callie. She's carrying her training dummy around, but she got her eye on a squirrel that she's going after. Anyway, that's why I haven't been active on social media this week. But I'm back. I'm refocused and have to spend. Well, I don't have anything else planned away from the cabin for a while, so I'm gonna till October actually when I go move something. So I'm gonna stay focused on getting this workshop built. The greenhouse should be arriving in the next couple of weeks as well. So hopefully get the foundation, first floor of the workshop done, and get this greenhouse done before fall starts setting in, so I can have a nice comfortable workspace inside to work on these things. Careful. How are you going to get out of here and get over there? Careful. So speaking of awareness and being aware of impact, the other reason I mentioned for taking these trees down was not just to utilize them for making a tripod for the poles, but also clearing to get sun on this. This is a south-facing slope. It's going to be a terrace vegetable garden. But the workshop right here, ironically, is collecting solar. And I say ironically because collecting solar energy from the sun requires no trees in the path to shade those panels. So it's just one of the ironies of solar, is that you need to remove some nature in order to allow sunlight to get in and hit those panels to generate power. So that focus that I'm talking about, or awareness, that really applies to power in general. Power as far as what I use to cause the destruction here, the damage, and then the restoration, but also the energy that I use in the form of electronics, camera, computer, lights, refrigeration, all that stuff that is run off electricity has to be generated by solar in my case. And because of that, I need to minimize my usage as much as possible, or be really aware and be as energy efficient as possible. So for me, that focus, that attention to detail, the attention to impact of everything we do becomes so much more important. You become so much more aware of it when you're generating power for yourself in this case, or power as in using physical muscle power to cut materials down and to build a house in the case of the cabin, or to build a workshop in this case, and then a greenhouse. So yeah, it really makes you think twice about what energy you want to use when you have to generate that yourself. Then really water applies to water big time, especially here, without having a stream right by the cabin, or like a nice flowing stream, clean stream, or a lake or something. Ideally, if I had been able to spend the money to buy waterfront property, and waterfront property where I was allowed to build something like this by hand, then I would have done that, but wasn't in the cards this time. So I'm making do. But because water has been mostly from rain collection and pulling some dirty water out of the stream and then filtering it, I've been very efficient with my water usage. And I will continue that, despite the fact that I now have a full pond to draw from. There's still going to be labor or energy demand in order to make that water potable and to water the garden. So anyway, that's the update for this week. So I want to let you know what I've been up to for the last week, but also why, when you see very clearly behind me that I've been using power equipment, why would I be using an axe to cut a tree down? And that's the reason. So I'm not going back to work. I'm gonna haul this to the workshop clearing, and then I'll get one more cut down, then I'm going canoeing, going fishing. glad I came out fishing. I ended up getting a nice pike, great big pike, and a small bass, and I'll troll around the lake for a little bit longer, probably for another hour, right till sunset. So glad that I made all the decisions that got me to this point. I think about all the people that are watching and reaching out to me, especially through all platforms like email, message and stuff, Facebook, and talking about their dream, this being their dream as well, or having something similar, and that they want to do with their life, and not knowing where to start. And that, so it's different for everybody. It's almost impossible to answer that question, but it really comes down to just starting to make little moves to get your little steps in the right direction, the direction that you want to go, and eventually you get there. It's one thing now at 50 that I realized that all the urgency that I felt over the years to get going on my dreams, or the anxiety I would feel periodically, especially in the fall for some reason, that I just wasn't prepared. My life wasn't set up the way I wanted it to be, and I hadn't taken any steps. And yeah, and then I realized at this age that eventually you get there if you keep moving forward. If you don't have too many down days, too many days where you sit idle, you don't work towards your dream, work towards your goals. And you know, life is fairly short on one hand, but on the other hand, you keep working at it over a long time, it's still worthwhile if you don't achieve it until you're 50 or 60 or 70 or 80. In fact, I've seen quite a few people, especially up here for some reason, country folk that are living the way they want to live, and that they're still really active into their 80s, doing stuff that a lot of younger men would have trouble with. And that's true of, you know, a lot of old farmers especially. And yeah, the kind of guys I relate to. I hope I'm still moving at that age too. And if, you know, at 50 right now, to just be starting on the path to the life that I want to live would still be just as worthwhile as it would have been at 20 or 30 or 40. So it's never too late. I don't know, like days like this, you want to have these throughout your life, and you don't want to sacrifice too much throughout your life. Like, don't focus so much on your goal. Let's say it's economic. You have to get into an economic situation where you can afford this to some sort of retire or to be able to live on a smaller income. Still worth fitting those days and to do the things that you really love to do, because you never know, you might not make it to the age of, you might not make it to that destination. So it's worthwhile to enjoying the journey. But anyway, it's still worth taking that journey regardless of your age. But I think for regardless if you're 20 even, take those steps, like start working towards that. Paying off debt, I think, is probably one of the hardest things to do, the thing that most people have to do in order to get prepared for this kind of life, because you really do need to reduce your living expenses as much as possible, because you're gonna have a hard time earning income at first, likely, at least, as you set out to live a little bit more self-reliantly. But yeah, anyway, paying down debt or not getting into debt in the first place is a good place to start. But there's lots of steps. That's the thing. If you sit down like I used to do and set lifetime or long-term goals, they're overwhelming and very frustrating. Very, well, overwhelming is probably the right word. Daunting. You don't feel like you're ever going to get to that point where you can make any significant enough moves that take you in that direction, but they all do add up. And I know I've said it lots of times on this channel, but I really strongly believe that. Try not to let too many days go by where you don't take one of those steps. And it might be just to have a better relationship with your family or your spouse or your kids or whatever, or your parents. So that's a worthwhile goal, of course. So picking up the phone and making that phone call, or what, all the things that you've been putting off, not worth putting off. It's worth not putting anything off till tomorrow if you can take a step. I think that's really One of my main messages, I think, is that, yeah, I'm fortunate to be living this way, but it didn't happen on its own. There's no way I would be doing this right now if I didn't take a whole bunch of steps, make a whole bunch of decisions over the years that allowed me to get to this point. And my path is unique. Yours is going to be unique, but it's worth taking. Get reflective, I guess, looking at the reflections, enjoying the peace and solitude. I just can't believe how quiet it is on these lakes. So amazing. Waterfall. There's a higher lake, I guess, back in there, and a stream flowing into this lake, so it's really the only noise here. Not even that much wildlife noise. I did see a bear earlier. Didn't even realize, just sitting there doing my thing, fishing, and didn't notice when I looked over in the bush there was a small bear watching me. By the time I got the camera around, of course, he trotted off, but it would have been a yearling, so probably a year and a half old. So quite small still, but anyway, cool to see. It's only that up until two weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I hadn't even seen a bear this year, and then I saw a sow with 3 cubs, and then another good-sized bear across the road in front of us, and then this one. So it's starting to get more active. Lots of berries are ripe now, so it's starting to feed heavily to prepare for winter. Anyway, to experience all of that stuff, it's only because I'm getting outside every day and interacting and all those little things. Some days are boring, but all those little things add up to a pretty interesting story. And that's what I like to focus on, all the little things in life. So that's not bad, actually. One tried to bite me. Anyway, I'm going to get back to fishing here. Probably sign off in the video. If you want to watch me cooking this fish, see what I do with it, the food preservation that I've been doing lately, then make sure you tune in the other channel or later in this channel. I'm going to upload all the videos of all the things I'm doing to continue getting my food prepared for this winter. So I'm going to sign off now. So thanks for watching me. Thanks for spending the day with me, and I look forward to seeing you back at the cabin next time. Take care.